Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by the Sky Lounge in Tea, XL Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody. Such a pleasure to have you along for the ride as we talk to the creatives once again here in the Sioux Empire when it comes to Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations. Today, Joel Shotwell. He's a saxophonist, a jazz man, and he is one of the co-directors of Jazz Camp that's going on yet through tomorrow. They have a performance tomorrow night then that is free and open to the public, by the way, at O'Gorman High School. Also, Chris Pohlson. He and I have known each other for a few years, and he is here. He's a musician as well, singer-songwriter. We'll talk to him about playing downtown and so forth. And it's going to be another big weekend, isn't it?
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day in your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
All right, get out your favorite thing to toast with. Of course, for me, you know what it is. It's Jasper Newton, Jack Daniels Diet Coke and a lime, but it also depends on what time of the day you're listening to this as to what you toast with. Might be water, might be juice, might be, a mug of milk, or a nice cup of coffee. Or it might be the fact that it's your age prevents you from having what I have, and that's why you're going to be drinking some Capri Sun or something like that. In fact, that's really what we're toasting to today is the youth. The youth that want to be involved in the arts and the entertainment. The youth that are participating this week at Jazz Camp. I've been associated with it because I'm doing some volunteering right now for the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society. And I tell you what, you need to get yourself to O'Gorman High School Friday night, 7:30. You are going to be in for a treat. These kids sound great. So, to the youth that are involved in arts and entertainment, here's to you. You get the weekend toast. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours, a great way to hop from microbrew to microbrew in Sioux Falls. Book a private 4, 5, or 6-hour tour. You're in charge of the 8 local breweries that you could go to, but leave the driving to Ale Hop. Plus, the van looks pretty groovy. Todd M. says, it was a great way to spend the evening with my friends. He agrees the van's really cool, and it's nice to face each other while sitting in it. Book your private tour on alehopbrewerytours.com. Tuesday through Thursday tours start at 3 p.m., Fridays at 5, Saturday and Sunday, tours as early as noon. If you don't mind sharing a ride, hop on one of the public tours. For more info, call 605-777-2183. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. Still time. Book a tour in July on alehopbrewerytours.com and save 10%. Use the promo code 10July. Honorable mention. Oh, I like to give out something, just a little honorable mention, a little shout out to something that made me smile and so forth. And I don't want you to get sick of Jazz Week and everything because I'm not. I've been having a great time with it. Well, one of the big events was the Tab Benoit concert that took place last Sunday. And I was working at the merch table, and this gentleman shows up. I can tell he's my age and just a little younger maybe. And then I realize who I'm looking at. Former KELO TV, I think he did like weekend anchoring and did a lot of reporting, Dave Hahn. He still is in Sioux Falls in another capacity. And it took me a moment to realize it, and I had to reintroduce myself. We hadn't seen each other, probably 22 or 20, maybe even closer to 25 years ago I met him. And then we chatted a little bit about that, but then he told me the reason that he was at the Tab Benoit concert. Because his daughter, who now lives in the Twin Cities, drove down to take him to Tab Benoit as a Father's Day gift. That put a smile on my face. And what's going to put a smile in your eardrums, a great sound? It's going to be some wonderful conversations. Later in the hour, singer-songwriter, musician Chris Pohlson. But up next, from Jazz Camp, a great jazz saxophonist, Mr. Joel Shotwell, on the Dave Holly Hour.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
He's never met a meal he didn't like. Once again, here is Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. Always a pleasure to speak to the creators, the wonderful musicians, artists, entertainers that we have in this town. And it is in the midst of Jazz Week right now. And one of our local jazz musicians that happens to be very involved in that is Joel Shotwell. How are you, Joel?
I'm good. How are you?
Glad to hear that I'm doing well. I've been seeing you quite a bit this week.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful week of music and preparing for things and it's one of those weeks where I sit back and reflect on it, and it's like, wow, I'm pretty lucky. Look what I did this week. I got friends all over that.
Yeah, you got to play a lot.
Yeah, I got to play a lot.
You got to instruct children.
Yep.
We shouldn't call them children, though. Pretty mature kids that decided that they have an interest in jazz.
Yeah.
And so you and Brian Hannigan have been very instrumental and very busy this week with working with the kids and getting them ready. They have a Friday night performance.
Yes. And
then a few of them will also be performing at a pop-up at the Washington Pavilion on Saturday.
That's right. Yes. That's going to be like a little combo group.
Right.
So that's these kids have been getting this music together and doing all that on their own. I love it. It's amazing.
Well, it was earlier in the week when we were getting things ready for Jazz Camp and so forth. One of the counselors came in, Emmanuel, and that's somebody you actually met at Jazz Camp.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we met at Jazz Camp one summer. I was teaching. Me and another teacher shared the two jazz bands, and I taught the second jazz band, and then I taught that we had three combos, and I taught the first combo. And I met this young man, and now he's coming back. He's coming back from going to school in New York for the summer, and he called right months ago, and he said, hey, if you do Jazz Camp and you need somebody, I want to help.
That's fantastic.
And we got another former student, Lydia, also coming, and she was at Jazz Camp, a very fine student. She's in Iowa, and same thing. She said, I want to help. So
that's great.
It's then at least I made it positive enough for those kids to want to come back.
You did. Well, you make jazz very positive in this town.
Sure.
In this
thank
community.
you.
And part of that is the fact that the jazz community, in fact, I really talk about this all the time on the show, is the fact that this community, arts and entertainment, the C word is collaborative. It's not competition.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think where we really see that is when we go to Our Wine and it's so-and-so's trio, and then the next week it's somebody else's trio. And 2 out of 3 of those might be the same people.
Totally.
It just keeps going around, trios, quartets, and so forth. What got you into jazz in particular?
Well, really like that, I guess like, it has to be collaborative in every, like even the best like jazz groups played constantly with tons of people, as many people as they
Right.
can. And if they didn't, they acted like they were playing together for the first time. Like that's the whole point.
Well,
so when you
and I
keep it
think-
like separate like that, it's always going to force that. So
And I think we see that a lot too.
Yeah.
Somebody will say, they'll come over and say hi during a break and so forth. Yeah, first time we've ever worked with this guy. It's like, wow.
yeah,
And everybody seems to nail it every time.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it's improvised that we all just got to make it work,
So your forte is the saxophone.
Yep.
And there's a couple of good sax players in this town, aren't there?
Yeah, there's
in
actually-
fact, you're helping out.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like training them. It's like,
Yeah.
I tell people like I'm trying to train people to take my job, I guess, so it really like makes you consider, okay, so what is my job as a saxophonist,
Oh,
but yeah, like training these kids and having so many good ones around, it just keeps you like, well, it keeps you honest about if I'm going to call myself a sax player, am I going to treat it like it's my profession, or am I going to treat it like it's something else?
at what age did you pick it up?
I was 4th grade, so
Okay.
I'm trying to think. My daughter's
Yeah, usually the time
10,
that you start
12, 11?
elementary band.
Yeah,
about
yep.
that.
Yeah, so I was gonna start in 4th grade. They usually don't start band instruments, but I wanted to play the violin, and I remember my mom saying she didn't want me to play violin, but I could play any band instrument, and she'd get me lessons. So I was like, well, I'll play the sax. So I started 1 year earlier than most kids.
Right. But started off immediately with that? No other instrument?
Well, I played.
You
piano.
did play piano. Okay.
Yep, everybody's got to play
Oh,
piano.
God
right?
bless you, because, this is episode 88 and 88 keys on the piano. So I knew we'd find a tie-in for this some way, that we get the 88
88
mensch.
keys. Yes, that's awesome. Well, it'd be awesome if every person you had on
Had played piano.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think my next guest probably
gonna have to find
started
out.
that way too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Who's your next guest?
Chris Pohlson.
Oh, I don't know who that is. I don't think.
He's a wonderful young man that he and I and his wife have been in several interactive dinner theaters and murder mysteries together and so forth. And all of a sudden, one day, Chris pulls out a guitar and starts playing at somebody else's house. And it's like, wow. And then I find
Yeah.
out that he actually studied vocal performance at Berkeley.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like every time I look around, there's people like today. I'm afraid to admit that I didn't know. Like you had a podcast. I know we've met before.
Yeah.
So I got on today and I started listening to some, and now it's on my podcast app.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, but like what's always fascinating to me is like, why didn't I know about this?
Right.
Or how did I not know this person?
Yeah.
And then they're amazing. Like it's the town is deep that way. There's just more out there than you think.
Oh, very true. And also the number of people that make a living
Yeah.
with their arts and entertainment is phenomenal too, and people just don't understand that part. So at what point then did you say, you know what, I really want to do this for life? It's not just a hobby, not
Yeah.
something just fun to say I was in high school band.
I definitely think I can remember doing anything, like I knew music was going to be in my life, a part of my life
Yeah.
on a significant level. My earliest memories are that, only wanting to listen to music and only wanting to anything musical that I could get my hands on. I wanted to do it. I remember like real early, like my grandmother gifted me this before she died, like this music box. But apparently when I was little, like I'd just go point at it every single time I was there. That's the first
had
thing
to
I
be
had
played.
to do. And I had to do it like multiple times every single time. And I remember it really vaguely. I remember one time being just tiny, like pointing up at it. Or that's a memory I made up in my mind because she told me. Those things happen,
Right. How about the first album that you purchased? Or would you have been
with my own money.
Yes.
I got like, I remember 3 of them. It was Michael Jackson, Black or White, I think is the name of the album. Eric Clapton.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll Be the River song or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like real popular in the early 90s, I think. What else was in there? Oh, Weird Al Yankovic. And I love that one. I listen to all the time. Yeah, those three were a part of them. Genesis was another one.
Oh,
and Kenny G. I'll admit it. Kenny
okay.
G.
Well, somebody that's going to play a reed instrument,
Yeah.
you had to, right?
And, I'm not afraid to admit that
Right.
he's amazing,
People, sometimes they a mass pop thing will come out, such as Kenny G.
Yeah.
And then, people will kind of poo-poo it. It's like, still the reason it was popular is because
It's not
had some
bad.
chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, listen to it. It sounds great. Like, it might not get
Who's
me.
the saxophonist you looked up to the most?
Oh, the first, real jazz saxophonist I think I got into was Charlie Parker, probably.
Oh, Charlie.
And that's,
Can't go wrong.
yeah. And I was so young, I should readdress Charlie Parker, so I could play bebop better. But it's like I got this book called the Omni Book, and I could read all the solos, and it really helped me read. But I didn't learn it like I've learned other saxophonists. But he was probably the first real legit jazz saxophonist I got into. Joshua Redman was pretty huge too, and he is for a lot of young players, I think. Joshua Redman is significant. So
do you know Yakety Sax by heart?
I don't know it. I
You
never
don't?
learned it. And honestly, I can't remember the last time I heard it. People say it, and I remember my grandpa telling me he's like, I don't want to hear you until you can play that. Just joking, And I just remember thinking I don't even know how it goes. I don't think
The
and I
old
still
Benny
have never.
Hill show theme.
Yes, and I remember hearing it I should learn it. I should learn it.
What was your favorite first song that you put down to memory that you could play at a recital or even go ahead and just jam on and improvise on?
Well, actually, it was it was actually a bass. I learned how to play bass starting in 6th grade. And I just taught myself because those instruments are lend themselves to learn that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I played that song that goes down on the corner, out in the street. Yeah. Anyway, I learned that because I was like, oh, that's a cool song, and I think I can play.
Yeah,
it
that
on
one
bass.
does have a pretty good bass line to it.
It did, yeah, and it's poppy and awesome. And I played it in my general music class at Patrick Henry for my teacher, Mr. Mogan.
Yes.
He said, which I'm sure everybody had, but I was like, hey, can I come in and for extra credit and perform this song? And he was like, yes, please. And it was great because it was the first tune. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to learn it and do it. That's the first one, and it sticks out because it's the bass taught me how to play saxophone, actually.
No kidding.
Basically, I had a great, wonderful saxophone teacher who half the people, Dr. Hannigan had her, Ryan Hofer had her, any saxophone player from town took from this lady, Patsy Hallsworth, and she's amazing. But the bass taught me that I could also learn just it's a folk instrument, I'm singing or just playing a guitar or something, I don't have to know or read what I'm doing. So it's interesting how when I learned the bass, I was like, oh, I can do that on my sax. And then that became my voice better then. I was like, well, I can actually play the sax, but now I can actually play it from my heart, instead of just reading it off a page,
Quite often, if I have somebody that's proficient in guitar, I will ask, how many guitars do you have? So how many saxophones do you have?
Man, I tried to count the other day, actually. Yeah, okay, let me think. I got a Barry. There's actually 2 at my house. I can't remember. This other one is just a piece of junk. And I have 1, 2, 3 tenor saxes, 5 altos, I think, and then 1 soprano.
Wow.
I should have a better soprano, but that's one that I played when I was in college, but the one I have is just junky, really bad. And, I could easily get one, but I feel like I'm just barely learning the tenor now,
Really?
I gotta it's not, just every time you learn to go down a path or you feel like you did this, you're like, oh, well, then there's this and I can't do this at all. It's one of those things it's never ending crazy. So I think about picking up the soprano. I'm like, don't even touch that. Learn this thing.
What is the process for you when it comes to rehearsals?
For
yourself, your
practicing
individual.
on my own?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a process I have for sure. It's usually sit down and play some notes. Sometimes I'll put a drone on my computer and just really crank it up and just start to play with the drone and play intervals to just make sure that I'm kind of centered. But then I have I have a notebook full of things that I'm just practicing or working on, ideas. I feel like it's like the more I study my own practice, and then I've been reading a lot about different artists and how they work. Like I read this thing about Jackson Pollock, a cool biography, and I'm reading one about Leonardo da Vinci, and I also read this other book about artists, and I think the process is a lot the same, because it's like I have these things it's like Leonardo in his notebook drew a bunch of different faces all over. It's like he's doodling. Like these things I work on are like doodles, but when I track them, I know it's like, how do I get the shape of this nose right? It's like I'm dissecting every idea I have if I do it that way. So like I guess a practice session is like, then I'll get into that, which is more like a technical, like I'm doing calisthenics, and then like I like to have time where I play freely, like where I just either went into a metronome or like recording myself or anything, where I just play with nothing in my head, just try to play it completely free and see what happens.
Completely improv without a theme to it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important if you're an improvising musician, because you might find it's like what it's like. I equate it to like you're inventing a language. You can either play someone's language or try to figure out the language. There's a language in bebop. There's a language in swing. There's a language in pop saxophonists. Like some people write that language. Charlie Parker helped write the language, Tom Scott helped write the language. If you're going to play pop saxophone, you better sound kind of like that, But like the beauty of the improv is like you can invent your own language. So if you're not ever like just gibberish, we could invent the language right now and we could talk in it. Every podcast could be in our language if we wanted.
True.
We could invent our own language.
Just as long as you don't make me do your hot yoga.
Yes. Yeah, hot yoga's helping that. Yeah. That's right. I came from hot yoga class when we were setting up or just checking out the place.
Just checking out the place,
yes. Yeah. So that's what my practice is like. And then other times I'm focused on writing music or something like that. And that's a different thing too. But yeah, I think it's fun. I don't know. I'm just so like, I can't honestly think to myself, every year I get by doing this, I'm like, what? How are you getting away with this?
Living the dream.
Living and we live modest, but
right.
It's but it's I have a wonderful wife that helped. She doesn't care that I play 3 or 4 nights a week. She loves it because she knows it makes me happy.
The support from a significant other of any sort is prime when it comes to being in entertainment or the arts.
It totally is.
Yeah.
And your wife or significant other, right? Yeah. She helps you with this?
That she does.
That's cool.
Yeah. She's my number one fan, also my number one promoter.
You got to have that because otherwise you're you feel guilty almost. It's a selfish endeavor sometimes when you do things like this, because you're doing this by yourself. Whoa, you're doing this by with you and me,
right?
But you're away from the person.
That's right.
You're supposed to be committed to.
In fact, I'll have to, she had to find a ride to get here later tonight. So.
Oh, sure.
Because we only have one vehicle and I have it.
Sure. Yeah. You make sacrifices, right?
That you do.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to where you said you've got your process for your rehearsal, but then you also have a separate for writing. Now, quite often when I talk about writing music, it's with someone that is a singer-songwriter.
Sure.
So they've got lyrics, and I always, like to know, okay, what came first? Was it a lyric that popped into your head, and you started to write that down, and you said, okay, I'm going to put some music to it, or did you have a little riff and go, wow, now I should write some words? So as an instrumentalist, what comes into your brain that makes you go, let's play with this and see where it goes?
Yeah. That's a good question.
I get one in per interview. One good question.
One good question. You've had 7 or 8 at least already. I feel like it's different. Like every single time, it's like a new thing. And sometimes it's the same. Like sometimes it'll come out the same, but it never finishes the same way every time. There's definitely no process to that, except for the fact that I have to have commitment for an extended amount of time when I do it. Otherwise, I play tricks in my head. Like I can't do the thing where it's like, oh, I have an hour to work on this. I have to have like an entire half a day or at least a half a day blocked off, where it's like, I know this is going to take a significant amount of like time and setup as far as like letting my brain just open up, you know? It's weird. I can't like, I'm not good. Like I have musician friends that are amazing at like writing exactly everything they hear or arranging things that they listen to, or like just writing like a tune in a style. Like I can't even do that. Like it's always just kind of like I have to just relax and start from scratch. But a lot of times it does come from like sometimes if I'm just playing freely, that's part of that exercise. It's like I'll record if I stumble on something that's interesting to me. Like if I'm like, oh, that was cool. Or I'll record the whole time and listen for like, what was that? Like I've never heard that before, but it's cool. What can I do with that? It's like grabbing little colors or a collage of sorts. But when I sit down and make it a thing, then it just takes a lot of time, like, or just an extended amount of time to let myself be patient, you know, like, because it takes a lot of patience for me. It just doesn't come fast, you know.
What inspires you to get to that point? I mean,
it kind of depends. Like this one was a bird I heard.
Yeah.
But then it turns out I can't figure out, maybe I just imagined it. It's so weird. I heard it so loud and clear, like getting the mail like one day. I was like, oh my God. It's like this resonant minor third thing that opens the Bird Ritual album from JAS Quintet, commercial break, Quintet.
Yes.
Anyway, but God, and I cannot find a recording of it. So I don't know. I mean, I couldn't have been hallucinating unless you get like flashbacks like 20 years later or something. but like seriously, like, so that was like an immediate, like, okay, sit down right now, you know, and go. And then a lot of it just happened. It was weird.
What do you think is missing in the Sioux Falls and surrounding area for jazz musicians?
Money? No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be.
That's funny. It's always funny because you're always hustling. You know, it's just like, but yes, what's missing? I don't know.
Do we need a big band or,
big band's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big band in Okoboji that plays that a lot of us play in. And it's like, oh, how could Okoboji have that and not us?
Not us.
You know, we could easily do it if they can do it, you know. There's a guy there that organizes it, and he's super organized and he's got his ducks in a row. Because a big band, you got like 20 people. That's hard. Like on a weekly basis, it's hard to get like a trio together sometimes. I got a gig in August, and I still can't find a drummer. Any drummers out there?
Yeah. Might know some.
Yeah, there's a few out there. Yeah. But anyway, I don't, like what's great is we have our bar. We have a home now. That's kind of like we've been wanting that so long. And we've tried some places, and they were really great people and stuff like that. It's just sometimes like it just feels right, you know?
True.
And definitely there, it does feel like that. So that's almost one of those things, like we're all kind of like, we're not definitely
kind
never
of a nice
content,
little zone, though, at this time.
But it's a nice spot because to have a place that you can legit go and do really what you want with respect for who's in your audience at that time. But you can still push the limits. And the guy who runs the place won't question you. He'll just appreciate it.
Yep.
And that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Ricardo has done a fantastic job of upping the ante for jazz.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. So, yeah, I guess I don't know what we're missing. A big band, that's a great idea. I mean, we've talked about that. Thursday at our bar.
I might even be inclined to, buy another valve trombone.
Yes.
I used to play 40 years ago.
That'd be awesome.
The one thing I still have from high school.
You have one?
No, I don't have. I don't have the valve trombone, but I still have my Louis Armstrong Jazz Award.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's the only high school memorabilia
Where did you go to high
I have
school?
kept. Central Line down in Rock Rapids.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I got that too. I have it somewhere. I know I do. But that's awesome.
Yeah, fun stuff. Tell us about JAS Quintet.
There were 5 members quintet. I played with a 10-tet the other night, and then I couldn't remember if it was actually 10 people, and then I realized you don't call it a 10-tet, it's a deck-tet, right?
Yeah,
10?
that's right, Decca.
Anyway, but yeah, JAS Quintet is me, Jimmy Spears, and Jimmy and I have been friends for an insanely long amount of time. Like when I think about it, we played together forever. Andrew Reinertz,
Yeah.
same exact scenario there. Played forever, friends forever. Jeff Paul on piano, and he plays oboe in the South Dakota Symphony.
Not only on piano, but one of the things I love when you get old albums like this is there's this word that comes out sometimes with whoever plays keys, piano and Rhodes.
Rhodes,
yeah,
yes.
you got
And
to
it was
see
a
the
great
Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it was a wonderful instrument. It was for real. It was just so nice. But Jeff, I'd see, like, I've known him probably half as long as those other guys, but became a much staple of the people I love to work with. And then Dan Heyer also on drums, same exact thing. We played together for a while when he was real young, and then he moved away and, like, learned, like all of us, on doing just stuff all over the place, and then came back, and now he's also one of my favorite musicians. And so this is a group of, like, people that I trust, like when you do like original music, it's scary, like it's like I told, like, one of the first songs I wrote for a jazz combo was called Lizard, and I played it at the Touch of Europe with, like, Jimmy was one person that was on and we played it quite a bit, and I played it with some other people, but I always just remember feeling like, it's like middle school and I have to shower all over again. It's like, I don't want to, like, this is just like, nobody's supposed to see me like this. But so when I never thought about doing an album with a jazz group until I met these guys, and I was like, oh, these guys are right with me. Like, they're cool. Like,
That they are.
They're listening.
Yeah,
and
not a bad choice on that group at all.
Yeah, that's
everybody's wonderful.
Yeah,
talent.
And they're really
talent,
open-minded.
Yeah,
like completely open-minded, and that's huge. Nobody there's like, oh, we should be playing this and that and this. It's like, no, what do you want? What else should we do that's weird?
What's your ultimate goal as a musician?
I think about that a lot. And I think it's just like to be honest with the music that I do. I think I've learned that I'm a decent musician, like, but I'm better, like, as an artist, that I can do my thing or do something that isn't supposed to sound a certain way,
Right.
like, and the people that I play with a lot, I think, do the same thing, or they're, I play with Jeremy and John, those guys, in the Jimmy and Andrew in a sextet also. And it's like, it's cover music, but I never feel like I have to play a certain way, because I've learned that I don't think I'm very good at that. Every time I get in a situation,
Go with your strengths.
Yeah. So my goal as a musician would just be, I think, to continue to, like, have people that just respect what I do. I mean, when people stop calling me, I'll realize that I messed up my goal. I did not take the right path.
Insurance now.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't take the right path.
I think you're going to be getting calls for a while.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So 2 questions I always love to end with.
Sure.
First is, when you're not being part of the entertainment, who do you like to be entertained by?
Oh. Well, I love seeing anytime my friends play. So that's a hard thing to say, because they're always playing with different people, like we talked about.
Right.
But, a lot of times I'll go to our bar because I'll always know people that are playing there. I love going and watching the Hags, because they just play they have a huge repertoire of music that they do really well, that you're not going to hear on the radio or anywhere else.
True.
And then, I live like a block and a half away from the Thirsty Duck. And I'll just go there if I'm off on a Friday or Saturday, I'll just go down there, and sometimes I'll see wonderful rock cover bands that I didn't even know existed,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of suspect.
I know, and I keep telling people, I say, when I decided to do this podcast, I wrote down a possibilities list, for guests, somewhere between 50 and 100. And I don't even know if I've gotten to 30 of them because I'll be around, something else pops up.
Yeah.
I meet Joel Shotwell.
Sure.
And all of a sudden it's like, gotta get Joel on sometime. And when do I have all these people
Thank
now?
you, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been great that way. All right, so aside from entertainment, any other types of hobbies?
Yeah, I actually really love to golf.
Oh, my.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was a fierce athletic competitor. That was my other thing. Like any sport, I would do it. So golf helps with that. As you know, I really love hot yoga, but I don't do it enough. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, it pushes me, but not to like, it pushes me physically, but not, I can't push myself aerobically very physically anymore. I'm like, built like Gimli from the Lord of the Rings. So I do good on long jogs, just not sprints.
Right.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, Joel Shotwell, it's been a pleasure getting to know you more.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
Dave.
for spending some time on the Dave Holly Hour.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Welcome back, everybody. As always, a pleasure to get to talk to people that are involved in arts and entertainment around the Sioux Empire. And now, joining the show for the first time, but probably the first among many, an old friend. I shouldn't say old because you're much younger than me, but a man I've known for a few years, Chris Pohlson. How are you, sir?
Good to be here.
Glad to have you on. It's one of those, I say this so often that, I come across people and I've known people, and it's like, I want to have them on, and then you just don't get around to it, and then all of a sudden you run into them. And you can say, hey, pull out your calendar. When can we get you on? And so we were finally able to do it because you and I go back a few years. I, and your wife, because we've been involved in some murder mysteries and some interactive dinner theaters together, and it's always been a hoot to be around you guys. But we're also here not to talk just only about that, but even more so about your music.
Yeah.
Because you basically are, you've kind of decided that's the main route in life.
It is. It's kind of where life has taken me in the past 2 or 3 years, and really what I've concentrated on a lot is the pursuit of playing the guitar.
Yeah, and it goes back, because your musical career obviously has been a long time coming, and to get to this point. Your schooling, you have do you have a master's in vocal, or just studied vocal performance?
No. Yeah, I just studied vocal performance
at Berkeley, though, right?
Here and there. Yeah.
Okay.
Berkeley in Boston is one of them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Pretty prestigious school when it comes to music.
Yeah. I was there for a couple years, 2005, 2006, and it was a really great experience. Met a lot of great musicians, and yeah, it was fun.
So you play guitar, though, as well. Mm-hmm. In fact, the first that I knew of your musical abilities, I think we were having a rehearsal at Toby Kane's one time. And all of a sudden you take Toby's guitar and start playing. If I'm not mistaken, I think you were playing and singing Gin and Juice.
That's a staple of mine, yes. Yes.
The song's a staple, or Gin and Juice is a staple?
The song is a staple. I really... I've only had Gin and Juice one time, and it was recently with some people who were at one of my shows and saw that I played Gin and Juice, and they ordered a bunch of Gin and Juices. Can't say it's my favorite drink, but it is one of my favorite songs to play.
Yeah, well, my favorite drink, because you have shown up. You're the second guest. Well, actually, both you and Joel Shotwell, who was on earlier, have brought gifts. Joel brought me an actual vinyl of his group JAS Quintet, Bird Ritual Interrupted. And you brought me the same thing. that local Lou brought me a few months back a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Glad I could.
You have made your way up the list for repeat visits, Chris. You will be here more often.
Nothing like a good bribe.
Exactly. Old number 7 looking pretty good right now. But what got you interested in music to begin with?
Girls, I would say.
Oh, wanted to pick up chicks?
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I discovered the guitar and girls. I think right around the same time, around that middle school age, and found out pretty early that if you could croon a Jack Johnson tune.
Oh, wow.
No, so that's how I got started in guitar and just kind of progressed from there. I mean, I developed a deep love and passion for music, throughout my life. But
And did you take lessons, or are you one of those self-taught people?
no, I still take lessons.
Really?
Yeah. I take lessons online from.
Okay.
I guess I'll plug artistworks.com is where I take lessons from. Brian Sutton is a world-renowned flat-picking guitarist, and I'll send him a video, and he sends me a critique back, and yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the first song you learned on guitar?
Yeah, the first song I learned,
To get the chicks.
yeah,
The Jack Johnson stuff,
It was Nirvana. It was the first song that I learned, but I can't remember. What song. It escapes me, but I know it was a Nirvana song.
Right. Now, did you play any instruments prior to that?
Yeah. I was.
Did you
piano
have to
player.
start off with piano? Okay, because this is episode 88 keys on the piano.
This
so
is 88,
it's fitting.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big into piano in my youth, and still tickle the ivories every once in a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I've got to hear that sometime.
I can't do it well.
I don't care. You do it better than I do, I can tell you that. No matter. I haven't even heard you, but I know that part. I can still play Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it's great musical.
That's about it. The only thing that I can actually do with two hands.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, it's one thing on the resume.
Cool.
So where are you hoping everything goes now? At this point, I won't say it at your age because you're considerably younger than I am, but by the same token, now you've had kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's your maturity time and so forth. So where are you hoping all this takes you?
I just hope to keep playing and keep getting better at the craft. I love the guitar and I love acoustic roots music, and I love playing the acoustic guitar and learning about it. And I feel like I feel like I get better every day that I play, and I think I could do that till the day I die.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're able to do that. I mean, it works out well for you with your family and so forth. And, of course, one of the things that I always talk about when it comes to entertainers and artists is you have to have a good support system.
You do?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
so if you've got a wife that's supportive, and that makes it easier to say, hey, honey, I got to go. I got a gig tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a wonderful wife. You know her.
That I do.
Katie?
Yes, she's been my love interest on occasion. In plays, people, in plays.
The French maid. And
Yes.
and the Louisiana chef, right?
Cayenne pepper.
Oh, it's so good. Such a good accent. I remember the first time I heard that accent. It just blew me away.
We've had plenty of fun acting together.
Yeah, we
that's
really
been a
have.
good time, no doubt about that. And I wish that I could play something. However, I am taking singing lessons right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
How's
so
that going?
It's going great, by the way.
Who are you taking it from?
Amy Morrison.
Here in town?
Here in town,
Okay,
yep. And
cool.
it's going great. Really enjoying it because, I've always known that I have a decent speaking voice.
Oh, yeah.
But I also love to sing karaoke, and I have my standards that I can go to. But it's like, there's some other songs I'd like to sing too, but I can't quite get there.
What are your go-to karaoke standards?
Mac the Knife.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Yeah, and then I also do a Louis Armstrong imitation.
Okay.
So, What a Wonderful World.
All right.
It gets sung quite often.
And you do it like Satchmo?
do. I see trees of green, red roses too.
Fantastic. Jeez.
Yeah,
I had
love
no
doing
idea
that.
you were so good at voices.
You know, there was a time where I really thought that maybe that would be a career path.
Really?
My first imitation I did when I was in third grade.
Who was it?
Ah, yes, W.C. Fields. I went to Philadelphia once, but it was closed.
And then at that time in my life, Richard Nixon was president. My mother was not a crook, but nobody will ever write a book about her. And just kind of picked him up from time to time. And of course, my favorite, at least easiest to do, I can't say a lot of words from it, but cartoon characters are good, such as Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Raggy, roast, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
That's a good one.
And then
Popsky's. Oh, I amsk what I amsk.
So, okay.
So I really thought that, there might be something to that. But,
Sure.
tried a few different things, but the problem with most of my imitations is that the people I do are dead.
Okay.
Because and people will say, well, why is it? It's just, there really aren't any John Waynes left in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, back in those days when I was learning how to do different voices,
Mm-hmm.
there were maybe 50 to 100 movie stars, not 500 to 1,000.
Sure.
Yeah, and so nobody stands out that very much anymore, except Matthew McConaughey with "All right, all right, all right."
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's kind of tough. Yeah, you really have to spend a lot of time
Owning the craft, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've got too many other things that I'm doing and involved in.
I think if podcasting doesn't work out, at least the voices would.
Well, see, that's the other thing I'm trying to get into more.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to get a couple of demo reels done
Yeah.
for my voiceover work and character work, and then, hey, see what comes of it.
Very cool.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I love doing this, and this is a passion of mine. Just like music is a passion of yours. Where was it when you realized, I like music, and then it was like, I love music.
Yeah.
And what made you love it?
Huh. I would say it wasn't until really recently that that I really just kind of jumped on board. It was probably about 2016. I was a banker in Sioux
Yeah.
Falls for a while, and just going to work every day, wasn't feeling it. It didn't didn't jive with who I was, and I hadn't really played much. I hadn't brought the guitar out, I think, very much since I had moved to Sioux Falls. That was back in 2008. So yeah, right around 2016, 17, I started really getting into flat picking and this kind of bluegrass acoustic. I do a lot of old fiddle tunes and a lot of really old music these days. So yeah, that passion reignited a couple years ago.
Do you write any original stuff?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I write a lot of stuff. Just wrote a song about the Civil War, from the perspective of both a Confederate and a Northern soldier in the same battle. And yeah, I'll send that to you, and you can.
Oh, please do.
You can check that
I'd
out.
love to hear it.
Yeah, I was just watching the Ken Burns.
Documentary
on
Yep.
Civil War. Yeah, I really like the Ken Burns stuff that he does. So, and I was playing a riff the other day on the guitar, and I thought, God, this just screams 1860s, like Civil War. So,
Okay, because that's a great tie-in to what I wanted to ask you next. Then is when it comes to the writing as a singer-songwriter, what hits first, the music or the lyrics?
It's different. For me, usually the music would come first. But if I have something that I've been thinking about or something, in my head, I might write a tune around that. But I take out my phone and I've got here, I'll show you. Just voice memos full of tunes that I've been
That come to the mind while you're driving along, or
just all those are songs that I've
oh,
written.
whoa,
And they're just little riffs
Yeah?
or chord progressions or melodies or whatever it is. But
Okay, so let's go back to the one about the Civil War then.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah.
long did it take you to write that then?
over the course of probably 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. I just I was really just watching this documentary and really enjoying the stories that I was hearing and fascinated about the history. And that's what I really love about this acoustic traditional music is just the community and how it ties you back to back to your roots, back to kind of where I guess this country and where America started. And it fascinates me. I love that stuff. And
So you're really, obviously in this song, you're incorporating history. Do you find that you kind of hope that's maybe your bit, that's your shtick, that, some historical perspective?
So I do, maybe, that might be, a niche that I would explore. I do like a song that tells a story, and I like songs that document the world. Something I've been really into are called murder ballads. Have you ever heard of a murder ballad?
I have not per se. Obviously, just saying that kind of takes my mind one direction.
Yeah. It's a really interesting genre. It was kind of more popular, I guess, around the turn of the century. 1900s.
Yeah, not this last 21 years ago bit.
Right,
Yeah.
but what it does is it takes a sensational story, typically like a murder, and it sweetly tells that story, as it happened, and usually the juxtaposition of, like a sweet melody, like. If you're interested, if any of your listeners, The Banks of the Ohio is a great murder ballad. Tom Dooley tells the story of a man
old Tom Dooley.
Yep, Kingston Trio, I think, did that back in the 60s. Doc Watson does a really good version of that. Old Matty Groves, there's a lot of them.
All right, so let's take it the instrumental side first. Who do you look up to, and who inspired you guitar-wise?
Yeah, Tony Rice. He's probably the god of flat picking, of acoustic guitar flat picking. I love John Prine. I love his poetry is just insane. I mean, he's a wordsmith.
Yeah, it was. No doubt about that. Yeah.
He was. Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. Who else? Clarence White, Jake Workman, David Grisman, Jerry Garcia. Been starting to get into the Dead recently, so actually Katie's gotten me into the Dead more than anything. Oh yeah.
I never would have taken her for a Dead.
Yeah, her boss was really into it, and then we started listening to it, and it's just easy. It's easy listening.
Okay. Yeah, I've always thought that about the Grateful Dead, that I've just enjoyed their stuff. It wasn't ever anything that when I was growing up going, oh man, I got to get into Grateful Dead or anything like that. And then I would hear it years later and go, that's good stuff. Yeah, I just really enjoy that. So what about other musical influences besides the guitars and besides the writing? What gets you inspired and makes you want to continue being a musician?
What gets me inspired to continue music? I'd say mostly the musicians that I listen to. Yeah, and just the connection, I guess, that I get with the audience. It reminds me of there's a lyric in this Church Street Blues. I guess I'm going to sit right here, pick and sing a while, try to make me a little change and give them folks a smile. And that's...
Love it.
Yeah, that's kind of like...
That's your mantra.
That's been my mantra, for the past couple of years. Yeah.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about your acting abilities as well.
Oh.
What? Well, come on. You've played some great characters. What got you interested in doing that part?
That would be... Well, I did a lot of musicals when I was younger. Yeah, in my late teens and early 20s. So, Jekyll and Hyde, Jesus Christ Superstar. What else?
Who'd you play in JCS?
Judas.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that character.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah, the guy that played Jesus Christ was great too. Yeah. So,
Where'd you grow up?
Ottumwa, Iowa.
Ottumwa, that's right. I knew you were an Iowan, as is a Katie, as am I.
Are you?
Yeah, Rock Rapids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
And I know her area more so than I know yours, but, of course, everybody knows Ottumwa. Thank you, Radar.
That's right. Yeah. Radar and Tom Arnold. Those are
yes, Tom Arnold. Man, I forgot that.
our claims to fame.
But obviously, you were involved in high school and so forth then, before going to college, that you were having at least fun with music at that point.
Yeah, I did. It was called, Celebration Iowa. It used to be the Iowa State Fair Singers and Jazz Band.
Okay.
So we would tour. Took a summer and toured Iowa and just played all these small town shows that culminated in well, it wasn't a state fair performance when I did it. Culminated in a different performance, but it was fun.
What's been your favorite character that you've played?
Aside from the lawyer that did it. No, Jekyll and Hyde was hands down the coolest music, the coolest part that I ever had the privilege to play at. There's this scene where he sings to himself. It's Jekyll and Hyde arguing back and forth, and that was really a lot of fun to do. I had to wear extensions.
Really?
Hair extensions down to my back.
And the opposite part, that little bit with Jekyll and Hyde. In some ways, did that help you when it came to thinking of perspective of a Northerner versus a Southerner in your Civil War story?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it did.
You know, because you already knew that, the dichotomy of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the interesting thing about the Civil War, the Confederates, I mean, they were fighting for what they believed in. I mean, you thought they were equally as right as anybody else. It was just,
What do you want to do besides the music? Do you still want to do some acting? Be involved in stuff? Or
no, I'm going to leave that to the professionals.
Oh.
Really, it's something that was fun for a while, but I'm more focused on the music side these days.
And where will we find you playing besides downtown Sioux Falls?
Well, downtown is
good summer booked,
kind of the happening place. Yeah. I play about every weekend that I want to. I've got a bluegrass band. There is getting ready to play Newton Hills Folk Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that.
Good festival.
Newgrass Revival is our name, where we've got a fiddle player, Xander Nielsen, he's phenomenal. He's spectacular. And a banjo player, Craig Atkins, who's a wonderful musician. We'll be opening up the folk festival this year, August 5th. That's Friday, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Some of my heroes, Tim O'Brien, Daryl Scott, Peter Rowan, Chris Teeley, they've played this festival in the past, so to be a part of it is just really cool.
Oh, that's excellent. All right, always end up with the two questions. First is, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Live music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, whether it's local live music or, national acts. I mean, we've got some great talent here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, we do, undoubtedly. And I think that and this is such a common theme on this show, is the fact that it's a collaborative scene. It's not a competitive scene. Obviously you all want to get a gig and so forth, but you're going to go out and you're going to, if somebody needs you to help, fill in that night or something, or, you just go out and enjoy watching them and so forth. It's always great.
Yeah. And that's what I found. I do a solo act.
Yeah.
But boy, the pleasure is in playing with other people, jamming with other musicians.
Yeah, that's going to be great then. So when you got the Newton Hills gig, that's going to be fun. Hope to be able to get down and see you on that.
Yeah.
All right. So aside from the entertainment world, other hobbies?
I hunt a lot.
Really?
Yeah, about as much as I can.
A big pheasant hunter or ducks? Geese,
No, deer. I bow hunt for deer. Yeah.
Oh,
and
my.
rifle. Go antelope hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and put in for an elk every year. It'll probably be another couple years before I pull that tag, but
Okay. Well, you brought me Jack Daniels. Next time, if we do this in the fall, I love deer sticks.
oh, hey.
Yeah.
All right. Man, that's easy then.
Now I'm begging for the gifts.
We got to make it a tradition.
Yeah, we do. All right. Well, Chris Pohlson, always a pleasure to see you. Great to talk to you. My best to you in your musical endeavors, and of course, my best to you and Katie and your family. It was so fun running into you just a few weeks back, and of course, here once again, we were both going to watch Elizabeth Hunstead. Mm-hmm. So it was like, wow, the people that you run into, and then go, hey, all right, let's sit down, get that calendar out, and we finally got you on.
It's really cool. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Once again, thank you so much. Appreciate all the downloads, the likes, the shares that you do on social media, and the official subscriptions and so forth that you have been doing for the downloads. Again, we passed 5,000 over a week ago. So thankful for all of that. Also so thankful that next week we're going to be premiering a new advertiser. Somebody that's been on the show before realizes the value of finding out more about the local arts and entertainment. We'll keep you in suspense in the meantime. However, still want to make sure I thank everybody involved besides you, the listeners. It's our wonderful friends down at the Wood Grain Brewery next to Agua Fresh and the Frontier Bank. That nice lobby area. Such a great place to sit down, have a beer while you do a conversation with someone such as Joel Shotwell and Chris Pohlson. Thank you both. Appreciate that. And that's going to do it for me. Just too many things to get to this weekend to tell you about, but want to make sure I add one for sure, and that would be Saturday night at 7 p.m. at Straw Bale Winery near Renner. It's the Midtown Coffee Radio Hour live recording for their podcast, of which, well, I happen to be involved in this too. So that's what keeps me happy, because I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge & Tea, XL Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional link section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening